By the time a child turns 2 years old, their brain has already reached 80% of its adult size. Building that much neural infrastructure requires a massive daily influx of nutrient-dense food. But right when a baby's brain demands these calories most, they often reject their meals. Navigating this window requires 10 specific foods and a strategy to bypass biological rejection instincts. Because a toddler refusing a plate of food isn't a behavioral flaw, it's an ancient evolutionary survival mechanism, one parents must negotiate to support their child's cognitive development. For the first 6 months, exclusive breast milk or formula provides a complete nutritional profile while adapting daily to fight infections. But at 6 months, the infant's biological baseline shifts as their internal iron reserves, built up in the womb, finally run dry. From this point on, that iron must come from external sources. This makes lentils essential and beans a priority. Dense sources of brain-building iron, but they must be smashed flat to avoid any choking risk. However, a physiological barrier exists. The digestive tract cannot easily absorb plant-based iron because the molecules are geometrically rigid and locked. Adding vitamin C, like smashed berries, changes this chemistry. It physically attaches to the iron, altering its shape, allowing it to pass into the bloodstream. While iron builds the brain, the newly forming nervous system needs fat for insulation. This makes avocados a priority for building healthy neurological wiring. At 6 months, feeding is less about caloric volume and more about the specific nutrient pairings required to build neurological infrastructure. Despite the biological need, introducing greens like broccoli often triggers an immediate visceral rejection. This reaction is driven by a psychological mechanism called the behavioral immune system. This evolutionary wiring causes infants to feel disgust toward bitter or unfamiliar green traits. As this diagram shows, the brain categorizes a harmless floret and a toxic plant as the same lethal threat to protect the child from accidental poisoning. Overcoming this requires up to 15 separate attempts of low-pressure exposure. With each attempt, the brain slowly recategorizes the food, eventually moving it from the threat bucket into the safe bucket. While navigating those greens, babies still need safe, complex energy. Oatmeal is a reliable substitute for traditional rice cereals, providing the necessary carbohydrates without the risk of soil-based heavy metal contamination. Successfully expanding a child's palate means viewing their disgust as a biological alarm system to be gradually deactivated through familiarity. By 9 months, the focus shifts from chemistry to structure. This is when purees must be phased out to advance the baby's facial development. Introducing soft, lumpy textures, like scrambled eggs, provides the physical resistance needed to strengthen the jaw muscles for future speech and eating. While the jaw is being physically trained, the immune system requires its own form of conditioning to handle modern allergy risks. This makes thinned peanut butter a primary tool for proactive immune training. Current medical research confirms that introducing common allergens early and in small doses trains the infant's immune system to recognize them as safe, reducing the likelihood of severe reactions later. At this stage, feeding is a dual-purpose workout. It structurally prepares the jaw for speech and functionally prepares the immune system for lifelong resilience. Introducing these new, complex solids can stress the infant's digestive tract. To prevent constipation, babies need consistent hydration through water or water-dense foods like cucumber sticks. Using an open cup during these meals further develops the oral motor skills that suction bottles don't challenge. This leads to the final requirement for a successful transition: the family plate. The CDC emphasizes responsive feeding, noting that babies are evolutionarily hardwired to mimic the eating habits of their protectors. Witnessing a parent safely eat and enjoy a food provides the social proof needed to deactivate the behavioral immune system. It signals to the infant's brain that both the environment and the food are secure. The parent's job is to provide these specific biologically necessary foods while trusting the baby's own biology to decide exactly how much to consume.